Oh, good morning. And I've woken up this morning with Juju on that beat playing in my head. Before I thought of the Buddha, before I thought of what I had to do today. Nah.
Damn. Yeah.
So I was reading something this morning and I was reminded of a quote that I read in a book. It's on inside the book On Writing Well by William Zinsser, and it's something I want to share with you today. It goes, "The ultimate goal is to understand the human brain. That incredible 3-pound package of tissue that can imagine the farthest reaches of the universe and the ultimate core of an atom, but cannot fathom its own functioning." And that's where it ends. Now, I thought this quote was very interesting for many reasons, but really what it implies is that we use our brains, we use our minds to create, to communicate, to articulate, to imagine the unseen, to imagine structures, to imagine ourselves rich, to build. This is all use of our mind. We can look into the heart of an atom, we can create spaceships, we can see onto the surface of the moon, but how many of us are at home in our own minds? And how well equipped are we to look into human consciousness itself? It's like we're using something, we are something, but we have no understanding about it. It's funny, I remember this one quote that strikes me, I heard from a man. He said, it's like a fish in water. Well, we're all like fish in water. And I would argue that we are in fact swimming in the dark. We are swimming in the dark because on one hand, we are in a life that we completely understand. We know how to move our legs. We know how to move our hands. We know how to talk. But do we really understand the process that governs these movements? Do we understand how our sinews communicate with our brain? Do we understand how our hearts beat? Do we make them beat? Do we try to breathe? Why are we even on this planet? All these kinds of questions. You know, the more at home myself that I seem to feel in my human consciousness, in my human skin, the more deluded I kind of feel, because I think that these things can't really be understood. I think you can keep dissecting something, but when does it end? How many pieces can you dissect an apple into? I think the answer is endless. And it can mess with your head a bit. But the point I'm really getting onto is that actually to understand everything can become a sickness at a point. I understand the need for wanting to understand money, understand friends, understand how to be a better person. But there's a point where understanding can affect your growth. It can get in the way. And I'll use a couple analogies here to explain my train of thought. The first one is, imagine if you are a basketball player, a new basketball player, and you hire the most professional coach in the entire world. And he says to you, next time you shoot for the hoop, instead of going that way, go this way. Instead of moving your foot this way, angle it slightly to the left, punch through the palm of your hand with this amount of force, look at the net, and push. Now, as a student, you could take this two ways. You could ask him to explain the gravity behind the equation. You could ask him how the force transfers through your body into your hands, and why this works. You could say to him, no, I don't want to shoot until you explain it. Or you could just shoot. And the man who just shoots, I would agree, I would say, is the one that will get more results in this field. Our desire to understand can really hinder our growth process. Sometimes you just have to fly and then figure it out later. Sometimes you really have to have trust, this need to understand everything can at times signify that you're a man who doesn't have faith and doesn't have trust. If we're talking in terms of growth, sometimes you need to take principles people give you and run with them instead of trying to figure them out. So, sometimes you really do need to fail in order to grow. And to build on this point, there's a quote by the Buddha, or known to many Buddhists, and what the Buddha says is, if a man is shot with a poison arrow, and before taking out the poison arrow, he exclaims he must know who shot the arrow, the size of the bow, and where it came from, not only is he a fool, but he will be dead very quickly. Very powerful metaphor. And for anyone watching this, I just want to offer that to you. If you're going in any kind of direction, and this need to understand is pushing you either into your head or stopping you from taking action, from moving, from being momentous. Don't let it stop you. Sometimes you need to do things and just do them, It's like a blueprint. If you found a blueprint to a gold mine, you could do one of two things. You could sit there, strategize, have an affair with your intellect, have an affair with your imagination, figure it out before you get on the move. Or you could be the person who gets up and follows the map towards the treasure. Thank you for watching, and if this video was useful to you at all, comment below, or if you have any thoughts on the subject, and subscribe and like, support the channel if you want to. Alright, thank you.